Okay. Today we're going to recap our experience playing the Halo Flashpoint team tournament at Adepticon.
Typically we do Adepticon. This year is in Milwaukee. We do AOS. We've been doing singles and team, but this year, since it was a little bit longer drive, we decided to stick with a shorter event. And since Halo came out, it is significantly shorter than Age of Sigmar, so we decided to do that team tournament on Sunday.
Yep, and so we headed up a little bit early so that we could just kind of check out the con and the new location, and then we just had the one day of actual gameplay. It started at 9 o'clock and it ended at 3, so we still had time to get home, which was nice. And then the rounds were an hour and a half each, which is way shorter than AOS rounds, which are typically set at 3 hours a piece.
But today we have the player packet of Halo Flashpoint team tournament we want to go over, and we'll be showing some pictures online as well to show you and just give what we thought.
Yeah.
So first we're going to go into our team, and we'll go through that. I took two. My two were Spartan Deadeye and the Spartan Brawler.
And then I took the Spartan Mark VII and the Zvezda. All of the painting tutorials actually are on our channel. Yeah, this guy over here painted them all, but we'll pretend I helped. And so together we had one 4-person team, but we played our 2 players together. And then we took on other teams throughout the day. There were 3 games that we had to play.
So I'll show you a picture of our squad that we took. Mine will be on my side and Jess's will be on her side, and let's go over those. So I took Spartan Deadeye and Spartan Brawler. We're gonna go over the pros and cons that we thought of our 2-man squad, and I guess let's go with a pro first. My pro would be the Spartan Deadeye. He was a long-range champ for me. He gets optics and lethal, which really helped out with adding dice and getting kills when needed.
And then for my long-range guy, I had the Zvezda. He's a scout, so he can help out by crouching and getting those bonuses and keeping the crouch through movement, as well as with his ranged weapon getting optics. We didn't really play with rapid fire too much, but I could see where that might be helpful when you're playing against elites. And also the Zvezda has a 4-up save, which was the best save roll of our team, so that came in handy when trying to keep him alive when he was being attacked.
Did you have a con on any of your guys?
The con on the Zvezda is that his movement is only 1, so if you want him to go anywhere, you have to do these, my brain just stopped working.
Sprints?
The sprints, yeah. You had to sprint him, and then you can't do a second action, so that was not good, but I would usually sprint him to at least get him set up for next turn play. And then with my Spartan Mark VII, he had really good fight rolling on 4-ups, so not as good as our Brawler, which he had, but also with the armor piercing and the energy shield depleting keywords, he did a lot of good close combat.
My con for this game, or for the day, was that everybody picked on the Spartan Brawler. Nobody wanted him around, so we'll talk about that a little bit more in the rounds on how he was picked on, but once he got into combat, he was still great. He's just being bullied by the other team.
Definitely. Yep. One cool thing that I liked about the game that kind of shook it up a little bit, I guess, was achievements. Much like when you played on Xbox with Halo, you get achievements when you're playing those games. They had achievements within the rounds that you could get extra points with, and we were only allowed to get the achievements once per round. So we kept track on our scorecard by using 1, 2, or 3, depending on if we got the achievement in round 1, round 2, or round 3. So that was helpful for us. And then the only ones really that we got every round were a double kill, which was killing 2 Spartans or elites in one round, and then also Avenger, which was killing an enemy model that had just killed one of your models in its previous activation. And then the kind of gimme was to play with 4 fully painted models, but hey, we'll take extra points where we can.
I think these were universal through all of the Halo Flashpoint systems for the weekend, because there are some on here that we could not get in the team tournament. They seem like they might be specifically for like solo play, but it still worked out. It still was added points to the day, and it probably did adjust for the rankings.
Yeah.
For the day.
So let's go in and we'll recap our rounds then.
Yep. So for round 1, we had strongholds. Put up the mission objectives picture on the screen. For this one, we had to basically hold territories, and we rolled off, and the 4-point territory was in the other person's territory, or on the other side of the board. So this one was a little bit difficult to achieve. We had the 2-point on our side, the 3-point was in the middle, and then the 4-point was on enemy side territory. Game plan for this one was to basically hold middle and our objective and try to win that way.
Yeah, and it was basically, you had, like I said earlier, an hour and a half to play the round. So you either needed to reach 18 points to win, or it was whoever had the most points at the end of the hour and a half. We ended up actually losing to our team, or to the team that we were playing against, just by 2 points. They had 11, we had 9. But I do think that if we had been able to play to 18, we would have won. Just with the strategy that we were playing, it just kind of really came down to time at that one.
This is one where the other team was being bullied to the Brawler. They rolled on the table. What was the table called? I forget what the table's called. Start of the game, you roll on a table, and then the winner takes a bonus for their team. They decided to take the bonus to pin one of our players. They pinned our Brawler, so he had to get up for an action and then use another action, so he was kind of delayed on getting into the game. But we used the Zvezda as pictured to run over to our corner of on our side to achieve those 2 points first, and then all we had to do is get toward the middle of the board to achieve the 3 points.
Yeah, and we were able to hold the 2 the entire game, and the 3 kind of kept going back and forth, and they had the 4 almost the whole time. So it was, yeah, we really were just struggling for that middle one. And I think with the Brawler being pinned that first round before the game even started, that kind of held us back from getting the 4. But then, like I said, if we had had more time, we would have definitely been able to take it over and score the full 18 points and win there. So it was unfortunate, but it's okay. So if we move on to round 2, in round 2 we played Oddball, which very similar to the Halo game. Again, you have to pick up the oddball and keep it, and every time your enemy activates, you earn a point if you still have the oddball. So it was possible, if you picked it up first thing and you went first, that you could get 4 points per round. So
also, with the start of the second round, the judge had twists. This was the first twist of the tournament, and it was the do not speak.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to talk to each other.
So teammates weren't allowed to speak to each other. So this added a little bit of flavor to the game, even though talking still, it's hard not to do, obviously. But everybody in our table tried to accommodate the twist as best as we could, and we were joking about it too. Like, saying I can't talk to you and stuff. So it was a good time. I liked the added twist. It added something where kind of I had to play my 2 guys and she had to play her 2 guys.
And we were allowed to use hand signals and we were allowed to write to each other. So in a quick little pinch, we could try to strategize. And we did agree as a table, since this was such a new game, that asking questions about gameplay was still allowed, but that if it was actual strategy, we had to keep the twist. So that way we weren't prolonging the game just because we were still
we still
learning.
could ask rules questions. With this one, where was the oddball placed?
The oddball was almost in the center
almost
of the
in the
table.
center. And we grabbed that first turn.
Yeah, we used the Zvezda's positioning, and then his scout. As a scout, you get a free movement before the game even starts. And then we just, we sprinted up, grabbed the oddball, brought it back, and then we were able to score all the points. They never once, they had the oddball, but before we finished an activation, we had gotten it back.
They killed the Zvezda, and then the next activation, we killed their, I believe it was an elite. Grabbed it. So we killed him right away. It bounced in our favor, and then we basically took it and then took it to the corner of our board
and just
stayed there. Their spawn points were obviously in their territories, so once they spawned, it was too hard for them and too long to get to our corner.
Yeah, so they could only hope to basically shoot us off the table and then try to grab the oddball, but we just kind of cornered everybody over there, so no matter what, one of our guys would get it. So yeah, so that one was a clean sweep for us and our only win of the day as we go into round 3.
But going into round 3, we were 1-1. We were potential for a positive record.
Yes.
And that was round 3 would have been Slayer. This is just normal Slayer.
First player to 10 kills wins, unless, of course, like I said before, you run out of time, which we did run out of time in this one, unfortunately.
What was the twist on this one?
The twist in round 3 was that you get, normally, if you have 2 of your players in a square fighting, you get an extra dice. But the twist was, for this round, you only got that extra dice if the 2 players were one of my players and one of his players. So they couldn't both be my players in the square, technically. So you had to have like an actual buddy system going on there.
And that did come up quite a bit, where you were saying I did bonus die, and then you're like, oh nope, I have 2 of my own characters in there. So
so I don't get the bonus.
She didn't end up getting it. So it did come up quite a bit on both of our sides. With this one, we were landlocked. If you look at the picture, you're going to see a red guy, which is our Spartan, and then a white elite. This was a little bit early on, but that exact spot, the Zvezda went down to help, didn't kill the elite. Then the blue, no, it was the red one. The red elite then came in to help, and there was just a 4-man blob right there.
And
they were just happily slapping each other and regaining shields, and nobody died.
The entire game.
The one opponent of ours had the blue elite straight ahead, and he's like, I can throw a grenade in there and do some damage, and it would splash everybody out with the plasma grenade.
I kept trying to egg him on too. I kept going, do it.
And he really wanted to, but his buddy told him no, and he never threw the grenade in there. But I do think that if he would have threw the plasma grenade on that square and it connected, everybody would have been splashed to a different cube, and then we could have got some kills going.
Yeah. We actually ended up losing only by 1 point. It was 6-5. And so, yeah, it was a good game. It was definitely a fun game, but having those 4 people tied up in one square for pretty much the bulk of it just kind of really slowed down the point scoring for us.
Yeah.
And that was our 3 rounds, and then we had a lot of fun. But then after the 3 rounds, we went into kind of just waiting for awards to happen. And there were, I believe, 11 teams that had signed up, but only 10 teams that actually showed up. And the team that we lost to in the third round actually won third place. And so I believe that we were potentially up for third place if we had gone 2-1 instead of 1-2.
I think we've been in the running.
Yeah.
I'm not sure with the achievement points if we would have gotten more than someone else.
Yeah.
But with that record, it would have been close. With that, the awards went first, second, third.
They did first, second, and third.
First, second, third place. Best painted, best sportsmanship, and
the Blood Gulch recruit, which was last place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't last place.
Okay. It was the Blood Gulch recruit.
It was the recruits that tried the hardest.
But did not. But the dice be dicing, and
yes,
we never. It's always comes down to a dice roll in these games. So
those were the awards for that one. With that, we did bring home some learning moments for Halo Flashpoint. With a new game being played, a lot of us were very fresh. There was only a handful that probably played religiously a lot more than we have.
Yeah.
And there was some takeaways that we learned for that.
Yes.
One of the things we did learn was with one of my guys. He has optics. We were playing where optics you can reroll 7 and 8s, which is true, and that gives you headshots. But it also gives you a bonus die.
Yeah, which we found out when we were playing optics. We also learned that when you put out the weapon markers, you don't fill all the weapon markers with weapons the first round. You just put one weapon out, and then in the next round a second weapon comes out, and so on. We were just filling all the weapons markers.
So for round 1 and 2, we gave every single weapon spawn a weapon. So it was very weapon heavy.
Yep.
But then by the third match, we played a gentleman or a team that they played more than us, and they said no, only one comes out every round.
Yeah.
So
and it was a lot of, for everybody really, there was a lot of rule flipping with the books and being like, what does it actually say? And then you read it, you're like, oh, oops, it really is just one weapon at the first round, and then and then more and more come out.
We also learned a lot about items. We only played a couple rounds at our house with items, and items play a big part in this game. Especially you wouldn't think. We only bare bones played with limited weapons and items, but once you get into the game and you pick up those items, like one of them was that grapple.
Yeah.
I mean, you can move a cube, or I think go back. No, that was a different.
The grapple hook lets you move a cube, but there's another one that looks very similar to it. It's like a transporter, and you can actually move up. So I used it with the Zvezda, who only has a 1 move, and I didn't want him to be visible because it was oddball. I wanted him to keep the oddball. Or no, it was strongholds, and I wanted him to stay on the 2.
Stay on the territory.
Yeah. So, but I had the transporter, so I was able to move him up, do some shoot damage, and then it transported him back to where he originally was. So that was a cool item to have, and
so they definitely add flavor to the game, which we were limited on going into this weekend.
Yeah. We also learned about the recon table, or I think that's what we were talking about originally. Yeah, the recon table where you get those extra bonuses before the game even starts. And we didn't know about that.
Yeah, we didn't know about that until game 1.
Yep.
We just totally bypassed that page in the rulebook.
Yep.
But it actually does add flavor to the game as well. And on the plus side for that, definitely.
Yeah.
Big shout out though to the judge. This gentleman from Ohio. He was great. We sat down, talked in between rounds about what he likes about Mantic and what he likes about Halo, what his favorite Mantic game was. So shout out to that judge. I didn't catch his name, but
yeah, he
was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was really cool, and he was telling us kind of about future plans for Halo. It sounds kind of exciting, so I'm excited to see where this game goes. We had a lot of fun with the team tournament. So
yeah, and it was like hour and a half rounds, so it was way shorter of a day than with Age of Sigmar.
Yes.
So it was a lot less strain. You weren't as tired as
at the
much,
end of the day. Yeah, you're still tiring. It's still a lot of peopling, but not as tiring.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's just when we did a recap of Halo Flashpoint doubles tournament at Milwaukee Adepticon. Think from there we're gonna look for more Halo Flashpoint tournaments, hopefully nearby, but I'm not sure yet where.
No.
Or what cities. I guess Mantic games are at. There's not really one where we're located. High volume Mantic games, so this is looking further out to larger cities near us.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, and until next time.